Right, United have definitely had a bit of a mixed bag of a season, and even though there's the defining games of the season still to play, and there's actually still quite a lot to compete and play for. Champions League qualification is a massive coup for us if we can get it. You still got the FA Cup, which I got a weird sneaky suspicion about, I'm going to be honest with you. Now, I'm going to have a look today at who I think could be Manchester United's player of the year, as well as some probably honourable mentions up and down as well, because it's not very clear, I don't think, who can be Manchester United's player of the season. But there are some candidates, so let's have a look at those candidates. In at number 1, Rasmus Hojlund. So, unsurprisingly, I think he's going to be a lot of players' pick for player of the year, and there'll be no shocks why. He's been impressive, and this season, 7 Premier League goals in 20 appearances and 5 Champions League goals in 6. Gives him 12 in 26. It's not bad. It's not amazing. It's not bad. And there has been some criticism, but I think he's really grown into the shirt, and I think he's still not quite getting the service, but you can see that there's a player in there. Now, I think the reason that you could say he's not quite player of the season is because, we have spent some time without Hojlund this year. There was the slow start. I think he's worth a mention because you go, do you know what? He came, he may have been a little overawed. It may have just taken him a little bit of time to settle in, but he has settled in, and I think he's a very exciting prospect for the seasons going forward. And it's scary to think how much quicker he could have kicked on if he was with us from the start of the season. Wasn't to be, but it will be this time, and we could have a real season with him being with us from the get-go. Number 2, Kobbie Mainoo. Now, it won't be Kobbie. I don't think he's played anywhere near enough. But I think he's actually next favourite for player of the season. And when you take it into account sort of like per 90, his levels have been potentially unmatched. He just hasn't played enough. He was out for so long of the season. He's come back. He's catapulted himself to being first choice in central midfield. And some of his performances have been absolutely fantastic. And for him to just go from academy player who's made his debut for United, which is what he was at the start of the season, to being an England international that people are going, oh, he needs to be starting, and actually he might actually feature in the Euros, is a testament to just how much ground he's covered. Literally, but also in people's minds this season. He is going to be special, and he is going to do special things. I just think the amount of game time that he's had, as good as he's been, maybe he's a shoo-in for Young Player of the Year, but I don't quite think he's Player of the Year just yet. But his name is going to appear on this trophy at some point in the future, mark my words. Number 3, Varane. Now, Varane has been probably our only major consistent centre-half. Massive contrast to his injuries last year. He's been crucial in some of our best performances this season, and he cannot do it alone. Which is almost what he's had to do. He's been without a consistent defensive partner since the first minute. We have faced far too many shots. I don't know how much of that you actually put down to the defence, or do you put that down to the structure of the midfield, or a combination of all of the sort of above. And I think it's probably worth noting as well that we've been semi-joking about Johnny Evans being Player of the Year, but similarly, Johnny Evans, when he's played, has put in a fantastic shift. Now, Johnny Evans has decided that that'll be that at the end of the season for him. And as sad as it is to see, I think it's a great way for him to bow out, come back to United, perform to the level he's performed again, and go, do you know what? Thank you, good night. Either way, Varane, I think he's been sort of understated reliance rather than like sheer, oh my God, what a performance. So I don't think he's going to get the nod, unfortunately. Scott McTominay. Now, McTominay deserves praise because he's, and he's certainly going to be an honourable mention because he's made things happen. He's won us on his own 12 points this season already. We've won so many games by a single goal margin, and he's had a say in so many of those. He's been absolutely crucial. And he stepped up in terms of the big games in a big, big way. 8 goals and 2 assists from 30 Premier League and Champions League games is a piss take from someone that's a central midfielder. But he's not being played there. He's being played out of position. And outside of the goals, I would argue that Scott McTominay's performances have really, really lacked. So, yes, he gets an honourable mention because he's achieved some things and he's pushed us over the line at times. But I still don't know where he plays. I still don't know what his role in the squad would be going forward. But he's done well, and doing well requires commendation. So, maybe he'll pick something up at the Player of the Year awards, but either way, well done, Scott. Which leaves us with probably one. And if I had to say this has been the most consistent performer over the course of the season, and he's played a lot, he's been resilient, and United have been missing permanence in the team. And there's probably only one player that you can say outside of Onana. And I think Onana's been great. A lot of you don't necessarily agree. I'm not putting him in the mix for Player of the Year. But I think he's been fine. Diogo Dalot. United have been crying out for someone to just do their job with no fuss. And Dalot has stepped up to the plate. And he's developing into a real fantastic right back. When he first joined the club, I thought he was too attacking and he lacked the defensive side of the game. And then he went to Italy, improved on the defensive side of the game, and then forgot how to cross for a minute. But he's kind of started putting it together and is a real nice package in there. I wouldn't call him world class, but you don't need world class in every position. You need people you can trust. And I absolutely trust Diogo Dalot when he's on the pitch and when he's wearing a United shirt. And you can tell he gets it. And you can tell he cares. And I think that's big. And in the words of Ten Hag, everybody gets criticism, but he is a fantastic player and he's developing really well. When we've been stretched with injuries, Dalot has been a crutch, someone to be relied upon. He's slotting in at fullback on either side, as and when required of him. And there's been so many moments that will go under the radar, but I'm going to highlight a few to you. He's got the goal against Sheffield United. He's got the pinpoint cross assist to McTominay versus Villa. He was man of the match away against Nottingham Forest. He's had countless goal-saving actions. He's looked solid defending 1v1, and he never gives up. And that's one of the best things you can say about any player is the mental attitude that they've got is bang on. He's always on the receiving end of praise from some top names as well. Ronaldo will still tell you that Dalot is a top player. He called him an example. And he's very young, very professional, but I have no doubt of his longevity in football. He's smart, intelligent, and very, very professional. Now, he's played 2,274 minutes of 26 games. He basically averages a full 90 when he plays. And there's still a lot of potential in him. And I think he's been one of the most important players by far. And I think sometimes fullbacks can go a little bit unnoticed. But for me, this season, Dalot has been the reliable, consistent performer that you don't need to worry about. It's not a squeaky wheel, and it's not something that's a massive drama. You just put him to work, and he goes about his work. So, massive well done to Diogo Dalot. He gets my nomination. I would love to hear what you lot are thinking. Does anybody, over the course of a season, rank higher for you? I think the form that we've seen from Hojlund and the brief spell that we've seen from Mainoo probably do sit above what Dalot's averaged, but I don't think anybody's been this consistent for the length of the season. But I want to hear your thoughts on this as well. So please get me in the comments. Give me your 1, 2, 3 for who you think's been Player of the Year for United. And if you agree or disagree with the Dalot shout, let me know as well. See you in the next one. thank you for watching the video. If you are new around these parts, then don't forget to subscribe. My channel is proudly supported by my community on Patreon. If you'd like to get a little bit of extra content, a Discord group, meetups, five-a-side games, weekly podcasts, behind the scenes, and even an occasional bit of transfer news as and when I get it, then for the price of a pint, you can show your appreciation for the content that we make and get some goodies for doing so as well. Check the link in the description or click the button right here. You'll also find all of my socials here too if you want to follow me on any of those platforms. Nice one.